Yo, slave, turn me up in my headphones. What's up, good people of War Room Nation? Welcome to another edition of Inside the War Room. This is an HOF or FOH edition. I'm Devin McMillan, and I'm here with the crew. Jimmy Williams.
Beard gang is in the building. Ladies, at me.
And the ball B. Austin.
But diddly 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 dear. Shout out to her.
All right, again, like we said, this is an HOF or FOH edition. If you listen to our podcast, you know what that is. HOF stands for Hall of Fame, of course, and FOH stands for
Funds on Hold.
Outta Here. So what we do, we're going to pick a player from any sport, and we debate whether or not they'll get into the War Room Sports Hall of Fame. I say War Room Sports because the regular Hall of Fame seem like they're a little too easy to get into these days, so we make it a little bit more challenging. So with that being said, fellas, today's subject is a guy who just this morning announced his retirement. 13 years with the Chicago Bears. Their leader, their middle linebacker, Brian Urlacher. Let's talk about him.
How do I say goodbye? Oh, go ahead, you got it.
Beard.
What's the legacy of a Brian Urlacher in your eyes, B.O.?
You know, he played in the middle for 13 seasons of one of the more storied franchises in the NFL. Put up somewhere in the neighborhood of 81 tackles a season, which isn't bad. Had a lot of injuries, but still managed to be All-Pro 4 times, and Pro Bowler, I think, 7 times out of that 13 seasons. Dominant for stretches. As I said, I think the injuries are what really kind of hampered him later on in the career, kind of slowed his athleticism. I put him in the Hall. For his contributions to the game, for being probably at least 5 seasons to 6 seasons out of his career. He was the guy on the Bears defense that teams were scared of, that teams had to scheme around. He was a safety in
college,
Arizona, in college, and so he was very athletic and could get to the sidelines.
I was about to say, I think that led to like what you remember, what I remember about Brian Urlacher, especially in his early years, playing that middle. You know, like you said, he got sideline to sideline pretty quick, so he was always involved in the play. I mean, I'm not going to, in the beginning of his career, maybe to the middle of his career, you think about Urlacher and you just think about beast, because he definitely was a beast. What I also remember, since we're so in tune with other fans and what people say, it kind of seemed like in a lot of circles, the word overrated, came
Absolutely.
up a lot when speaking about Brian Urlacher.
Two reasons.
Go ahead.
What's 2 reasons? One is he played in Ray Lewis and Derrick Brooks era, which were 2 guys that he is not better than. But there's no shame in that, because there are very few human beings that ever strap on the cleats and put the pads on that are better than those 2 gentlemen. And then, in certain circles, I'm going to even play the race card in reverse. I've heard a lot of African-American folks slight him because of because of race.
White boy.
Yeah, because he's a white boy.
Say it, man.
Because he's a white boy, because he's athletic, and they don't like the fact that he does kind of fit in the same class at times with Ray and Derrick Brooks. Those are kind of his contemporaries.
I like how you bring up Derrick Brooks. I ain't never heard nobody talk about Derrick Brooks in that conversation. That's your favorite linebacker. Nobody bring him up.
No, Ray is my favorite, but scheme-wise, for what Derrick Brooks did, he's better than any linebacker.
I'm not. Listen, man. I like Lawrence Taylor. He ain't better than Lawrence Taylor. And all I'm saying is this. All I'm saying is I've never heard Derrick Brooks' name brought up. Let's see how good Derrick Brooks is without playing with a great nose tackle. Anyway, getting back to Brian.
See how good Ray is playing with it without a good nose.
I mean, you can say that about a lot of them. Middle linebackers in general are overrated.
Exactly.
Most great middle linebackers have a great nose tackle, but this is not what this is not what this is about. This is about
Urlacher, man.
One Brian Urlacher. And here's what I got to say about Brian Urlacher. Using the official Jimmy Williams Hall of Fame criteria, I have to actually put him in the Hall of Fame. Here's why. And for those who don't know, the official criteria is when the story of the game is actually told, will his name come up? And it probably will, because he played middle linebacker for the Chicago Bears, who have a long line of great middle linebackers. Also, he was a dominant player. He was a dominant player on a team that was primarily a defensive team throughout his career. Went to the Super Bowl. They didn't win, but he was the leader of that team. And he's been arguably one of the top 5 middle linebackers his entire career that he's played. Some will say that, but here's why he's also overrated. He gets in the Hall, but he's still overrated, because when they try to make the comparisons to him, it's not there. You know what I mean? So I would actually put him in the Hall, but I still think he's overrated. At the same time.
Well, Jimmy, we try to explain that to people
on a
daily basis, that overrated doesn't always mean that you're not good.
Bad or not good.
Absolutely.
If somebody's saying that you're, top 2 and we think you're top 4, it's no slight to be in the top 4 of anything.
But you're still overrated.
But they're overrating you a little bit.
Listen, man, there's a lot of great people and players who are overrated. I mean, Michael Jordan is overrated. Tupac is overrated. That doesn't mean they're not great, but they're still overrated.
Magic is mostly overrated. Well, go ahead, man.
No, I've always I've been a Brian Urlacher, or I can't even say his name right now, Urlacher fan throughout his career. Like we kind of discussed, in this era, I mean, you have Ray Lewis and you have Brian Urlacher. But when we talk about the Hall of Fame, even if you're putting him second or third within that era, if you also want to bring up Derrick Brooks, if we're putting him second or third in that era,
better than Derrick Brooks.
Is second or third Hall of Fame worthy, or is Ray Lewis that far above everybody else who played in that era?
I think Ray Lewis may be one of the top 5 to 10 defensive players, regardless of position, to ever play. So therefore, it's like you're talking about somebody on a whole nother level. So to say that you're second or third, I mean, that means you're probably you're playing against someone who's an all-time great.
So it's still arguable, whether or not you're a Hall of Famer if you're second in the era to him, because that was his era. And like Jimmy said,
exactly.
He's not just middle linebackers, he's one of the better defenders of all time.
It wasn't the Derrick Brooks
Ray Lewis I'm talking about, not Brian Urlacher.
It wasn't the Derrick Brooks era.
With that being said,
they're going to make me pull the numbers out, because Derrick Brooks' numbers is better than Brian Urlacher's.
And you know what's interesting though? Didn't they play
in the same system?
Yeah, that's about to ask you. So they both overrated. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dan. You got it.
No, I'm just like, and this is rare for us that somebody has a unanimous vote, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that Brian Urlacher is a Hall of Famer in my book. So like I said, that's unanimous. And as far as the Women's Sports Hall of Fame go, Brian Urlacher, congratulations, you made it.
Congrats,
buddy. To the real one, it might be a little bit easier, because they were already saying future Hall of Famer like 5 years ago.
Yeah, before he
really even earned it. So
I ain't never heard that for Derrick. I ain't never heard that for Derrick Brooks though. But I'm just saying.
He likes tanned women with melanin and rap music.
Hold up though. Let me ask you a question. How long has Derrick Brooks been retired? Is he eligible yet?
No, this is his third season. You got to be 2 years.
He gonna be a first ballot Austin.
Based on the numbers, he is. Yeah.
And it probably also depends on who's in the class.
Yeah, I think we got our next contestant to get him into the war room.
Yeah. I think Derrick Brooks is he's definitely a really skilled linebacker.
He definitely is. I'm not slandering him saying he was no good. He was definitely good.
I don't think about Derrick Brooks when I think about big hits, though. I mean, he's a linebacker. I'm sure he had his fair share of big hits before Buccaneers fans come on here and go crazy. I'm sure he had his fair share. But Derrick Brooks is one of the better cover linebackers I've ever seen.
Absolutely. And the thing is, I just wanted to be known, it's not even about slander. It's the fact that I've never heard his name brought up amongst the Urlachers and Ray Lewis. until B. Austin just did it. So I kind of found it hilarious.
I actually think Derrick Brooks is better than.
All right, well, we'll get into that another time because this ain't about Derrick Brooks, man. See how you disrespecting the white boy? He can't even get his own segment. You know what I mean?
Do it, the white boy, Acha.
So look, he gets a unanimous HOF. He gets into the War Room Sports Hall of Fame. We'll see in a few years whether he gets into the real Hall of Fame or not. I think that's pretty much a sure shot. That's a lot. So, hey, everybody, as we always tell you, make sure you comment, leave your comment. Try to get this dialogue started. Tell us what you think. Do you think Brian Urlacher is a Hall of Famer? Subscribe to the page. You gotta
Where do you rank Derrick Brooks?
And then you'll know every time we put out a video, you know what I'm saying? We don't have to market it to you. You'll just know it because subscribing is magical. Any parting shots?
Let us know where you rank Derrick Brooks all the time.
I would have to ask, and I know it's unrelated to this topic, was Jason Collins coming out more pivotal than Magic and Isaiah's coming out?
Yo, what are y'all talking about?
I don't know what he's talking about.
War Room 10 Clan, baby.
All right, man. Go to warroomsports.com to get all your sports needs. Check out the podcast. All of that is at the website. It's a one-stop shop. Make sure you go ahead and do that. Don't be lazy. And like we always tell you guys, man, don't accept mediocrity and be steadfast in the war against ignorance.
I see you chumps on top.
It's the War Room with 5 nights at the round table. 5 Philly guys diversified and educated.